Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Louis Centeno Show. I'm Louis Centeno, and uh, we're here live from Tampa, Florida, where it's nice, hot, sunny. We definitely missed the hurricane, and all our prayers to the people who were impacted by Hurricane Doreen, obviously in the Bahamas, where they got the brunt of it, in the eastern part of Florida as well. We definitely, we have you guys on our thoughts and prayers. And um, I asked all my followers if you could donate to the Red Cross or look up companies or nonprofit organizations that are taking donations for those people who are impacted by Doreen. Um, I would encourage you to do so. Today's obvious September 7th, 2019, and I have a very, very good show planned for you guys today. Joining me later on today was going to be Zodwriter. Um, okay. Let me say hi to my guest, Dark Side. Hello, how you doing? The Chubby Teddy Monster Production. How you doing? That's a catchy name. Um, uh, yes. So what up, my swole? Guys, I guess the Lewis. I'm doing okay. Hey, Lewis. What's up, Metal Head Zaki? Hope I pronounced it correctly. Um, Hey Lewis said that we're not going to hear any more Snyder Cut news lately. No, I think we're hearing bits and pieces of it. I mean, I do hear things, but I do definitely want to be more responsible of what I put out there. Um, for those who may notice in the background, everybody knows me, and hopefully most of you guys know that I am a big Superman fan. So you ask, why am I wearing the Batman, the Dark Knight? First, he is my second favorite superhero. He is my second, and I'm paying homage to a friend of mine's, David Nieves, who is a big Batman fan, and hopefully, me paying homage one day, he's donned the Superman shirt. If I could put on the Batman shirt, he definitely could put on a Superman shirt. Hopefully, not too far distance. Hopefully, in the near future, real near future. He is, I mean, he's about 6'4", 6'3". He's taller than Henry Cavill, and you know, so, but so that's why I have on this shirt. I'm going to try to, not all the time, but when I do a show, have some DC character shirts. Marvel, if I do Don Marvel, it's either going to be Captain America or Spider Man, but I don't foresee that happening. That's for sure. I definitely do not foresee that happening. So, but I know there's been news lately going on, and as I wait for Zodwriter, who um, I'm expecting any moment now, hopefully. Um, let's first talk about the continuation on my first show that I had. By the way, I want to thank Chris, one who helped me launch my YouTube channel by coming on and being my first guest. I was very grateful and very appreciative that he was able to come on um, and um, and discuss many variety of topics. Um, that was it was I thought it went well. I definitely got great feedback. Um, Great feedback um on the first show. So there's a lot has been going on. There's one that I'm not gonna. Uh, okay. Thank you. You're not what I imagined to look like because you sound really young and Zodwriter show in your early 20s. Oh wow. It's early 20s. I wish. Definitely not in my early 20s. Mid 40s, around Ben Affleck's age. And I sure don't feel 20. That's for sure. 20s, but I appreciate the compliment. But going back to there's I think I made a tweet about a week ago. Um, what's going on with the movement, and I want to encourage anyone who wants to see the Snyder Cut, which I believe we are we're gonna get uh, eventually. Um, to and sometimes we could get sucked into it. Um, with all the negativity and and no one likes to be in attack, and our first instinct is for us to attack back. But we have to look at the greater cause and what we're fighting for. What we're fighting for is to see a movie that most of us felt that we were deprived of not seeing due to the decision makers, to the prior management, um, the prior management, and we have to combat our what we see and what we feel, and we have to really have take a deep breath and just relax and put away the negativity. Don't pay attention to it. And again, this goes for me first. No one likes to be attacked. I don't. And being that I was born and raised in New York, my first instinct is for me to push back. And it's okay to give a little resistance, but when you see it crossing the other line, that's when we have to draw back, and that's what we have to um, take a step back and not falling into the negativity, because at the end of the day, regardless, most of us wants to see the cut, and I don't think fighting amongst one another um, is going to accomplish that. Um, so there's a line that I do draw. I feel like you should not um, bring in a person's family into a argument. Should never do that. And I feel like that's a line that has to be crossed. Uh, I have seen some posts of individuals attacking Zack Snyder and making horrible comments regarding his situation with his daughter, and uh, those are people who don't deserve our anger. They deserve our pity. If you know what I mean. Those people deserve our pity, not our anger. Because I feel sorry for them. For them to stoop that low, it shows the state of mind where they're at. Um, they're not classy. They're not. They're just not in the right frame of mind. So um, now a lot of you know I I'm not a big John Garza fan. I'm not. Uh, However, his situation, I'm very sympathetic. For what I understand, he lost his daughter, and regardless of how any of us feel about his scoop, his reporting, uh, that's fair game. But I think that's a line that we shouldn't cross. So I'm very sympathetic to his situation because I have two girls of my own. Um, and I can imagine the pain that John, it's not, it's something that a person will get over losing a child. It's something that they learn how to deal with it, but they will never recover. So that's a line that I will not cross, regardless of how I feel about him. Uh, the man is a human being. He's a grieving father, and I just think that that's a line that no one shouldn't cross, regardless of who you are, and no matter the walks of life that we walk on. Uh, those are uh, boundaries that we should not cross. The same with Zack Snyder. Um, Regardless of how you feel about his movies, regardless if you like it, don't like it, to bring up his uh, personal life into a discussion, to me, it just speaks volume of you. So, so that's the only thing I want to address about that situation. I'm not gonna uh, get into the other stuff because it honestly it doesn't do anyone any good. Uh, would you someday bring in Phil Swan to your show? I honestly don't know who he is. I have no idea who he is. Can you tell me who he is? Do I know him? Can I look him up on Twitter? And again, I'm still waiting for Zodwriter uh, to come on. We're going to be discussing the very topic. He's a big Zack Snyder fan, from what I understand. Big, very Zack Snyder fan. Um, uh, okay, what's the purpose? Because it's not, I just I don't see any good, and I get what you're saying. Sometimes controversy makes uh, good show, but I don't want to be in the middle of something that I don't know. I mean, I've heard from secondhand what's going on, but regardless, let's just say that Mr. Ashley West is correct. Two wrongs don't make a right. That's the point. Two wrongs don't make a right. And again, I have not seen any. I have not seen anything. And to be honest, I saw a little bit. So I really don't know what's going on. I know a little bit of the detail. Basically, they're saying that the 40 Club, for what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, um, promoted something about Zack Snyder's daughter, and to me personally, I find that hard to believe, unless you could show me proof. But regardless, even if you show me proof, two wrongs don't make a right. You don't attack another man's situation. And again, I'm not a big John Garza fan. I'm not, I'm not a fan of his style. I don't. I have a couple, I had a few interactions with him which I didn't care for, and I just simply moved on. But just because I feel that way of how he does his thing doesn't give anyone a right to bring in his situation. I mean, as a person, as a father, I have compassion because I can imagine the pain that he went through, and I have not personally seen um, any. I have not seen whether he went after, and I don't. I just it's hard for me to believe um, that he would do that. Um, guys, he's finally with us. I have Mr. Zodwriter on the line with us. Zod, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to be here, Lewis. I'm so sorry for being a little bit late, man. I apologize.
Nah, it's okay. No worries. You gave me a time to address a certain that was asked on the chat. They're asking me would I have Mr. Wes Ashley on the show with me, and I know he's coming on the show with you, and I don't know whether I would. First of all, I don't know whether he will come on the show with me or not. I don't think he knows of me. But number two, I really don't like talking about a topic that I'm not familiar with. I'm not, and I know a little bit what's going on. And basically, what I was saying as a father of two daughters, and as a suicide survivor, I'm not the biggest John Garza fan. I'm not. I'm not. However, this is how I feel. And I'm speaking as a father. Um, how we have to come to a point that we could disagree, we could debate and argue on our information. But to me, where I cross the line is when you make it personal. Um, and even and again, I have not seen any evidence of it. Even if someone brought me a tweet that shows Mr. Garza going after Zack Snyder's daughter, which I haven't seen, my thing is two wrongs don't make a right. And I'm me going forward. What I'm going to do is because I want to stay positive, and I think you would agree, Zara, right? At the end of the day, we all want the Snyder cut. That's what we want. We want the Snyder cut. And I think we need to be positive. I think we need to lift up each other. I think we need to bring positive information. I know I'm a New Yorker. I believe you're in Illinois, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm in Chicago.
How's the weather up there, by the way?
That's pretty warm.
um, but tell me a little bit about before we get into go back. I want to know. I want to know a little bit more about you. What made you start your own podcast? You know, what was behind it, and what motivates you?
Well, I was somebody who always wanted to do radio. Growing up, radio was my thing. I was always interested in it, in the idea of becoming like a talk show host. And how I started on internet radio was I had uh, came upon this website called Blog Talk Radio, where you could do like little radio shows of about, I think, about a half hour in length. They would let you do a show for a half hour for free, and you could use your cell phone to broadcast and do the show. And I started doing it there. And then I had caught the attention of a gentleman who runs an internet radio network called PSN Radio. And he heard my blog talk show and said, well, why don't you come over to my network and do your Zodwriter show over there? And, you'll be able to use broadcasting software, and it'll be just like, doing a regular radio show. And so I got kind of excited and decided to go over there and do that. And I've been doing the Zodwriter show over there since, well, on and off since 2012. So I've been doing internet radio for several years. I basically, my show had turned into, for the most part, is an interview show. I mean, as you know, I tend to interview anyone when the stuff is topical, that I want to talk about. I generally, for the most part, will interview musicians, actors, actresses, movie directors, writers. I try to get. I've made a lot of contacts in the industry. Just doing that, just interviewing, interviewing various famous people or semi-famous people. I mean, one of my all-time favorite interviews that I ever did with a celebrity was I had Larry Kinney, a man who did the voice of Lion-O from the cartoon The Thundercats back in
Oh
the 80s.
yeah, yeah,
Now I'm a super Thundercats fan, and I don't know about you, but see,
man.
I've always been excited, to and so that was one of the things I always wanted to do, interview like voice actors and stuff from cartoons and animation. And yes, sir. You see, and I had him on my show. And I geeked out like a little kid when I had him on the show, because it was so funny, because he's also from Illinois, and I did not know that he actually grew up not too far from where I live.
Wow.
And it was so funny listening to him on the radio. I was literally having chills, because he actually sounds to this day a lot like the character did back in the 80s, Lino Thundercats. So there was that. And then I'm a I'm one of another famous voice actress I had on my show. There was another cartoon back in the 80s that I used to really, really like. I'm an unapologetic fan of this, and I'm a straight male, and I'm an unapologetic fan of Gem and the Holograms. And I had the voice actress who played Gem from Gem and the Holograms, Samantha Newark. She's also a musician. And I had her on my show as well. And so it was really a lot of fun for me. Somebody else you may know, I don't know if you've seen the Japanese anime from the 1980s, Akira. Have you seen that?
I don't.
It's a it's a
It rings
it's
a
a big
bell.
it's a big huge Japanese anime. They've been trying. Warner Brothers has been trying to make a live action version of the movie for years.
Oh,
And so one of the English voiceover actors from the English dubbed version of this anime, Jan Rapson, he voiced a character, one of the main characters in the movie, Tetsuo. And I'd been an Akira fan since I was a kid, and I was able to get him on the show, and I interviewed him, and I was geeking out like crazy as well. And so a lot of the people that I've had on my show, it's been an incredible run. Like my show lately has become extremely, Snyder cut related, because right now all we've been trying to do is get this cut of Justice League released. But prior to that, I was doing all sorts of other things. I was interviewing, actors, actresses, musicians, producers, that kind of stuff. And I'm eager to get back into doing that. I'm eager to get back into doing my show the way that it was prior to all of this, Snyder cut stuff. But I would like the Snyder cut to get released, and for us to finally have that moment's peace. And one of the things I love about this whole thing, though, Lewis, and I can tell you this right now, is I feel like I've made so many good friends throughout the course of the Snyder Cut movement. I mean, and I include you in that, and Chris
thank you.
Wong, and some other people that I know, and it's just been amazing. And that's why I say I don't regret any of what we're doing now, because I feel like everybody is doing their part, to get this movie released, in spite of all the adversity and negative stuff that we have to deal with too. But I mean, you have to take the good with the bad, and you have to just do what you can do, and try to go about it the best way you know how. I mean, unfortunately, I feel like some bridges have been burned here and there as a result of the stuff that's going on. And the sad part for me is I feel like a lot of it is all just misunderstanding, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to get the same thing, the same end result. We're trying to get this movie released. So that's the sad part of the negative aspect, if you ask me.
right. And what what motivated me to start, because it wasn't easy. A lot of people, asked me, why don't you do a show? I mean, this, for the most part, when I was scooping, a lot of understood what I was saying. I had some pushback from people who don't understand how the business work. So I was reluctant, and one of the things that I learned from you and Chris, that I'm taking to my show is nothing is scripted. It's just heart to heart, you know, talk, from the heart, and what we say, what we feel. Um, and you're right. We all want the Snyder cut, and it's unfortunate that it's gotten to, not for the most part. We most everybody has. It's so funny that in life, the 95% of people stays quiet is usually the minority that makes the most noise. And that's what we need to do. We need to drain that out and stay focused, and get the cut. Get the cut. Now, my first show was with Chris Swan, and that's how I launched my channel, and so that will always have a spatial place in my heart. Do you remember your first show, and who was your first guest?
I do. In fact, my first guest was a Gulf War veteran who came on the show to talk about a UFO experience.
Oh,
He
I definitely
was
want to hear this.
he was he had been in the yeah he had been in the Gulf War, and he had a serious uh this situation where he actually saw like an alien ship, and it was bizarre. I actually had the gentleman, his name was Ashton Williams, and I actually had him on my show twice. The first time I had him on, he talked about the second time, and then he talked about his experience. And then the second time he came on, he discussed even further. He went into some more details that he had remembered and stuff. It's quite an experience. But yeah, that was one of my first interviews ever. And then my first celebrity interview was a woman who was on who's from a movie called she did a movie called Bad Kids Go to Hell. And the actress, my God, right now at the moment, the actress's name escapes me. I feel bad about that, but she was really cool. Like, she came on the show, and she actually, she talked about her movie experiences. And then we actually had later than that same show, the director of the movie, Bad Kids Go to Hell, actually called into the show, and to talk a little bit about his experiences as well as the director, and that kind of stuff. And it was quite an experience. But yes, I will always remember those two as being the most, those will stick out in my head, because those are my earliest memories of what the show is nowadays. And just to clarify for anybody listening curious about the actress's name is Augie Duke, and she was on, and she had come on my show to talk about Bad Kids Go to Hell, and that was way back in 2012.
2012. Okay, 2012. If you could have, besides Zack Snyder, because I'm not going to give you that one, because I think we all want that one. So, and I understand he's your favorite director. So, set aside Zack Snyder, put him on the side. If you could have one celebrity on your show, who would that be?
Wow. Right now, I think I would like to interview Ben Affleck.
Ben
I would be
Affleck.
very curious. I think it would be a great show to interview Ben Affleck about his career, though, going all the way back to how he started, and when he was in, when he was doing small movies and then cameos and Kevin Smith movies and stuff like that. I would love to interview him. I think that would be a really fun interview. Also, well, in terms of let's say I thought you were going to ask me about a director.
Oh, a director would definitely be Zack Snyder. Is it because
Oh,
he's your favorite?
yeah. Zack Snyder's my favorite, but
Yeah.
if I had to pick another, if I had to pick another director right now to interview, I think I'd like to interview Martin Scorsese.
Interesting.
I
Interesting.
think that would be a fun interview too. There's a lot of movie directors I would like to be able to get a hold of. I was working on getting Rennie Harland. He directed. He's directed some horror movies. I think he directed the second Die Hard movie. I was working on him. I did interview the director of the Sharknado movies, Anthony C. Florente. I interviewed him.
Hmm.
Um, I actually interviewed what's her name? There's been so many over the years. I've interviewed tons and tons of people. But I mean, you have to think about how far back I've gone. I mean, it's
Yeah.
2012. I mean,
Yeah.
we're at this point. It's. But like I said, right now we're looking at a time where it's all about the Snyder cut. It's all about getting this film released. At some point, it would be nice to have just other Justice League actors, maybe interview Zach himself at some point. You know, who knows? That's all possible. I used to think it would be impossible to get celebrities to interview for like a podcast or something like that, but now I realize it really isn't. It's just about making what it is, Lewis, is it's just about making the right connections.
Yes.
You once you make, and that's one of the things that social media has made possible for all the negative stigma attached with social media. You can make so many connections through social media with people that you never would have met otherwise. It's pretty amazing.
Right. So now let's get into how the DCEU was launched. Let's start with Man of Steel. Well, actually, let's go to prior to that, before it came out, when Zack Snyder was announced that he was gonna direct Man of Steel. I'm assuming you were excited, being that you were a Zack Snyder fan. But the part that I don't get is I don't understand why people cannot understand what Zack is trying to say. I mean, I hear a lot of people. I hear a lot of chatter that Zack is not a good storyteller, and when I hear that, it's usually for people that don't understand their surroundings. In order for you to like Zack Snyder, you and understand his movie, you have to look at it more of intellect. And I like his movie because it's different. It's not the same. You really have to sit back and you have to pay attention to the details. And I think that's why a lot of people, not I shouldn't say a lot, but some don't like Zack Snyder because they don't understand the details. So when he was announced, what was you expecting a Man of Steel? And when you first saw Man of Steel, did it pass your expectation?
Well, here's a funny story with me and Man of Steel. When uh I was always a fan of Zack Snyder. I've loved every one of his movies prior to Man of Steel. But when Man of Steel was announced and stuff started coming out for Man of Steel, at first, I'm going to be honest with you, I was a little bit worried about the movie at first. I mean, I
Wow.
really was. As big of a Zack Snyder fan as I am, I was really worried at first about Man of Steel. Not because I didn't think it was going to be a good movie, not because I didn't think Zack could handle it, but I was worried about it for some of the exact same reasons that we have to deal with today with a lot of people, the way people hate on Zack all the time. I knew that Zack Snyder was a controversial director and that his movies are, especially after Watchmen and stuff. And I was kind of worried that when with Man of Steel, I'm like, oh my God, here it goes. Here it comes. It's going to come out and you're going to have You're going to have the hate brigade in complete, in complete full force. And that's what I was worried about. My issues were I was so nervous about going into it, about how it was going to turn out in terms of how it was going to be perceived, because I didn't want Zach to be. This is why I was worried, because Zach is more of a deconstructionist with superheroes,
Right.
and I was worried that this was going to be something, because of Superman being Superman, that this was going to be something that was going to be divisive, to say the least. And I was worried, and I was really, really worried about that. So at first, and then I had a friend of mine, ironically, who was just the opposite. He's like, "Oh no, you don't have to worry." He's like, "It's going to be great. We know that Zack Snyder has wonderful visuals. It's going to be," and I kept trying to tell him, I'm like, "But that's not what I'm worried about. I know the movie's going to look beautiful. I know Zach is going to be." I said, "It's just how it's unfortunately it's not about how things are, it's about how things are perceived." And that's what we're learning. It's not about the truth, because the truth is Zach is a wonderful director. He makes fantastic films. His movies are visually and intellectually stimulating on all sorts of levels. They're as far as I'm concerned, they're perfect films. But the problem is that he's not perceived that way generally, which is to say he doesn't get his due as a director, and that pisses me off. So that's what I was worried about going into Man of Steel. Now, when I saw Man of Steel, and I seen it in theaters multiple times, and when I saw Man of Steel for the first time, I was blown away. And I had the same feelings that you do, where anybody who saw this movie and doesn't accept it and doesn't love it is because they're missing something. They're not intellectually, they're not comprehending it in a way that they should. And that was, how I felt about it. And that's funny. Ironically, the friend of mine who wasn't worried about the film at all and thought it was going to be great and thought he was going to love it, ended up hating the movie. So I don't know what that says about people. I guess maybe people who like movies that have a strong visual flair can see trailers and think a movie is going to be great, but if it doesn't resonate with them intellectually or emotionally, they check out. I guess that's what we get from it. But my feelings from Man of Steel from then on have been nothing but positive, and I absolutely love this movie. And to this day, it's still my favorite DCEU movie.
Here's the problem that I have with people who uh, wanted Superman to be a lighter tone because of what they saw for Richard Donner in the '70s with Christopher Reeves. Now, don't get me wrong; those were great Superman movies. Okay, but you can tell the same story today as you did in the '70s. It just doesn't work. Time has changed. Same thing with politics. You know, what went on in the '70s, you can't compare it to what's going on now. Regardless of where you are in the political, or whether you're right or left, you can't do that, because what happened in the '70s is not what's going on right now. So going back to Superman, I Zack Snyder, to me, I think he would have done a disservice if he would have made or try to copy someone movie off the '70s. It just doesn't work, because the story was already told. How are you going to tell the same story in 2012, 2013 as you did in the '70s? Now, in Supergirl, it may work. It may Supergirl being raised in the '70s may work, because that story hasn't been told. So there's no Supergirl movie. So, but with Superman, when I first saw that, because I heard, when I heard the controversy, and I had people tell me there's a big controversy. So I'm watching the movie. My home. I'm watching the movie, and I'm liking the pace. He's saying what Clark went through when he was a little kid. He was an outcast, and if you put yourself, if there really is a Superman, and you live in a planet that is not yours, you're gonna feel like you're outcast. So I felt that connection, the story that Zach was trying to say, and it's unfortunate that people didn't understand that. They wanted Superman to save a cat off a tree. Really? Come on. You really want to see that in a movie? Superman saving a cat off a tree. Come on, why? Because that happened in Superman 1 or 2? That he saved a cat off a tree? It's Superman 1? I mean, really, I mean, what benefit it is? But when I got towards the end and I saw uh, Superman kill General Zod, that's what I said. Ah, that's the controversy. And for the notion for people to say that Superman doesn't kill, you number one tells me that you don't read the comics. Number two, if you're gonna say Superman Christopher Reeve didn't kill, then you're not paying attention because how did he kill General Zod? He picked him up, threw him aside, he fell to a hole, he's dead. He's dead. So he killed. Okay. And number three, the way they presented the Superman, he had a decision to make. You kill General Zod, or you let General Zod kill the people. He was presented, he had to make a decision. A normal person, me, if I had that superpower and I have an evil person and I have to choose between him or the life, because in the movie he says either I die or they die. I mean, he said it clearly. So he presented Superman with no option. So I don't understand. I don't get the controversy. I don't get what people is stuck on that. I mean, do you feel me?
Oh yeah, I see exactly what you're saying, and you're 100% right about the fact that Christopher Reeve's Superman did kill. The thing about Christopher Reeve's Superman killing, though, is it was done in a far less dramatic fashion. It was done in the Donner movies to come off as almost comical in a way, which is why people don't take it so seriously. But that's what it is. They don't realize. That's why I say tone is everything with these movies. If you can have all these people believing that Superman doesn't kill, and we know that he clearly does kill in the Donner movies, it's because, like you said, they're not paying attention. They're not understanding what's going on. They're not realizing it because it's done up. It was done up more for comic relief than it was a dramatic effect. It wasn't like, oh my God, Superman just killed that guy. In other words, back then, that guy, Zod, got what was coming to him because of all the atrocities he had committed on Earth. So people didn't bat an eye when Superman threw him down that hole, because at the end of the day, it was like Superman just saved us all. And essentially, Zack Snyder did the exact same thing, but he just did it in a more adult, realistic way. So so by snapping Zod's neck, he just saved the world. He really did, because Zod made it clear that he was going to continue to come
Yes.
after Superman
Yes.
regardless,
Yes.
and it wasn't, and it didn't matter. So he had no other choice. There was no other option for Superman. Okay, you couldn't cripple Zod to the point where he wasn't going to be a threat. He would always find a way to be a threat, and he was a Kryptonian, so he would have eventually regenerated and just came back after Superman. All you have to do is pay attention to all those little details, and then all the people complaining about him snapping Zod's neck look even more foolish, because it's like, what did you expect Superman to do? And let's be honest, if this were real and we really did have an alien invasion like that, and Zod came to the world and was doing that, people would want Superman to kill Zod. Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
I mean, let's be realistic. People would want Superman to end this guy. When we sent soldiers into Iraq or Afghanistan, you think those soldiers aren't killing people?
Of course they are.
That's the reality of the situation. I mean, what are people thinking? That's what I don't understand. It's like, I just don't want to see it. I understand that's how it would be. I just don't want to see it depicted in a movie. And that's where you have Zack Snyder telling people to wake up.
Yeah, I mean, now this is what I told people. If Zack Snyder would have told Man of Steel story and General Zod didn't give Superman that option, and Superman just killed without a reason, then I would say, okay, I'll give you that. But the story was told properly. His General Zod mission was to come and turn Earth into another Krypton, and told Superman, okay, when they were fighting, you have two choices. Either I die. I mean, he presented them a choice. So Superman, he's watching. He loves and I love the score. If you love these people so much, so Superman, look at the. I want you see. I don't think nobody has ever mentioned this. Okay, but again, I see Zach for the brilliance how he told story. I want people to because I've never heard no one say this. Okay, don't you think it pained Superman to kill one of his own? Think about that. No one has ever said this. Superman had a choice: save his own or save the people that he grew up in the planet. And when he killed General Zod, that scream that he made, that scream was, "Oh my gosh, I just killed one of my own." He was hurting because he did not want to do that. He did not want to kill his own blood. And that's the part that to me, that's what made it more, I connected more because the man had a choice and he chose the right one. So I don't think I have ever heard anyone said that from.
Well, in particular, you never will hear anybody that can't get over the fact that Superman killed, um, say that. They won't defend that at all because they want Superman to be portrayed as the big blue Boy Scout who doesn't kill. And there's been people in the comments section saying that in the Donner version, Superman didn't kill Zod. It just wasn't shown that they were alive and they were taken away in a deleted scene. No, they were killed. They were killed in the film. The reason why the scene was deleted, and I mean, I've done a lot of research on this topic on the Donner cut. The reason why the scene was deleted to show them walking away, being arrested, was because they didn't want to have those characters brought back later on for a future threat. So Superman did kill them. That scene was not meant to be that scene that was cut out where they show the two. I've seen the deleted scene where they show Zod, Ursa, and Non being carted off to jail by the police. That's not that scene didn't happen. It's a deleted scene for a reason. You see, because then they would have eventually somehow got their powers back and came back and been a threat. There's no way they would have locked them up and left them in jail forever. It just would not have happened, and it didn't make sense. Superman had to kill them in the Donner verse, just like he had to kill them in Man of Steel.
Right, and he did. Now, I will always remember the day when Zack Snyder was at San Diego Comic-Con in 2013, and he came up and he gave that introduction that there was going to be a Batman versus Superman or Superman versus Batman. At the time, we didn't know what it was going to be called. We just know that it was going to be a movie where Batman and Superman were on the same screen. And I remember, and being that Superman is my favorite character and Batman was my second, when I first saw that, the emotion that I felt, I was like, oh wow, my two favorite DC character in a movie, and Zack Snyder is directing it. I mean, I was ecstatic. How did you when you first heard about it? How did you feel?
Oh yeah, I was really hyped up. I mean that was incredible. I wish I could have been there. That's how excited I was for that. For me, I was in my mind, I was like, there's no way that this movie won't make. There's no way this movie won't make at least $1 billion. I mean, I was super excited for BVS. I mean, I mean, the trailers alone. I mean, just Zach talking about it alone was enough for you to get excited. So yeah, I'm with you there, 100%.
Right. Now, when you first, let's see, Don specifically says Zod is still out there in the commentary. I'm not counting the Lester cut. Also, the Donna cut would mean Lois kill Yusra, which she. I mean, if you look at, okay, well, let's look at Lois. If you're gonna say Lois killed Usra with a punch and she fell down and she died, the Superman tool that I saw when Christopher Reeve Superman picked him up and threw General Zod across there and fell down, he died too. So how is it that you're gonna say that Lois killed Usra, but Superman didn't kill General Zod? Now, I do understand the Richard Donner Cup present a different version of what he wanted to. No. I know you're not arguing. This is fun, so no worries about it. I have my opinion. You have yours. Zah has his. I just felt like Superman did kill General Zod, and but even so, let's just say I give you that point. Let's just say I give you that point. Is what Zodwriter just said. If this was actual in real life, you have an alien invasion. Someone with General Zod comes and is killing people, and we have Superman, who's supposed to be our protector. You think most people's gonna say, "Oh no, we can't kill General Zod. We have to study him. Just arrest him. Superman just don't kill." I mean, and if he doesn't do that, and General Zod starts killing people, then they're gonna start blaming Superman. Well, what? How come you didn't stop him? You see, this is the point where you can't win. There was no other way. He had to kill General Zod, because if he didn't kill General Zod, the same people that criticized Superman for killing, they would have said, "Wow, Superman let General Zod kill the people without killing them." I mean, it's just I don't get it.
Right, right. There's no way, there's no way to win that argument in the real world. People would want Superman to kill Zod. That's just the way that it is. You're not going to get because they know that the guy is going to continue to wreak havoc all across the world. He's going to kill millions of people. Only thing you could do at that point is kill him. Superman considered all options. He really did. I mean, it's just, you know, I don't know. I think it's just crazy but it also all goes back to the fact that people don't want to see a character like Superman depicted in a realistic manner the way that Zack Snyder depicted him. That's the problem. The camp that doesn't like Zack Snyder, because they don't like the realism. They don't like the ugly world. Well, if you don't like the ugly world, it's the real world. That's why you don't like it, because the real world is ugly. So now you have Superman being inserted into the real world, which is why there's all this controversy. They want Superman to stay a comic book Boy Scout of a character. They don't want to have him depicted as a real life struggling character, which is what the big controversy really is when it gets down to it. I mean, I'm at the point where I don't even think it's about killing Zod anymore, because it's just the idea of this is a guy who happens to be an alien who has real problems just like everybody else. So now you're taking Superman and you're putting Superman in this crazy, messed up world that we live in, and this is not our, then you get the argument, oh, this is not our Superman. Well, no, I mean it is. Yeah, you could put Christopher Reeve in this world today, and I bet you Christopher Reeve's Superman would be a lot like Henry Cavill's Superman at that point.
Right.
Because you have to adapt to the environment that you're in. You're dealing with a different environment than the one than the one they were depicting, the more comic booky environment they were depicting back in the 70s.
Why do you think? And if people thought Man of Steel was controversial, Well, they were in for a big surprise because when Batman Superman came out, that was even there was more controversy. Now, why do you think there were a lot of controversy with Batman versus Superman?
For me, I was completely baffled by why there was so much controversy with Batman v Superman. I still don't really understand it because everybody that tries to give an argument as to why they really didn't like Batman v Superman, it's all over the place.
Yeah,
I've never heard a concrete, like, legitimate reason why that was a bad movie. I mean, you hear a lot of people talk about, the Martha scene, which was just simply them not understanding the context of the Martha scene. But they're okay with the Captain America scene in Infinity War, where Captain America fights himself, and then Captain America says, Bucky's alive. And then you have all these people saying, oh, that's how they should have did the Martha movement, all the moment. That was okay. No, it's basically, again, it's just a form of context. They're taking it out of context and they're not seeing it the way it's intended to be seen because they don't want to see it that way. That's what
no,
it is. It's blind hate for Snyder, I think, more than anything else, because BVS, I mean, really, when you actually sit there and unpack and watch that movie, is a brilliant film. It really is. When you, from beginning to end, that movie will blow you away. There's so much in that movie to unpack. It's crazy. But again, it's done in the real world. It's how it would be if these two superheroes were around in our society. If we actually had Wonder Woman in our society, this is what it would be.
well, I'm actually married to Wonder Woman. That's a little bone to my wife.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but the what when I first saw Batman versus Superman, and I'm going to yes, and you're right. They did copy of Batman versus Superman because I'm thinking about having a friend of mine who I know for 25 years. Who he's one of my friends. I'm going to call it debating the Martha Bucky scene because his problem is he get that they have the same mother's name, but there's no connection. So I'm thinking about having him on next month and respectfully debate and basically call him out on it because the Russo brothers actually said they got the Bucky scene idea from guess where, people? Batman versus Superman Martha scene. So it makes them look hypocritical. It makes them look hypocritical because they love the Infinity War, they love Endgame, and yet the directors pay homage to Zack Snyder, and a lot of them don't know that. So when I told them that, I'm like, "Well, is that you?" I said, "Look it up." And then I asked them to, can you comment on it? And they don't have an answer for me because it's just now. To be honest, when I first saw Batman versus Superman, the theatrical version, don't get me wrong, I liked it, but I feel like it was incomplete. Like me being a Superman fan, one of the things that I questioned right away is, wait a minute, why he let uh, that wheelchair explode? He's supposed to see it. That didn't explain it. But when you see the Ultimate Edition, to me, the Ultimate Edition is a masterpiece. To me, it's just above the Dark Knight. That's how. To me, that's my favorite movie, the Batman versus Superman, the Ultimate Edition. So I agree with you, integrity. That the problem with BVS was they cut out 30 minutes, which was horrible. It was a dumb decision because I feel like if that version would have been released in theaters, I feel like it would have got a better reception, not from the Marvel people, not from the bloggers because they're biased, but for more rational people. And people that I saw, that saw the theatrical version, when I encouraged them to see the Ultimate Edition, almost all of them told me it's a much better movie. Did you get the same sense when you first saw the theatrical version and you saw the Ultimate Edition, that some of the plot holes that you was wondering on the theatrical version, they said, "Wow, this makes sense."
I loved the theatrical version in spite of all its flaws. I understood that there were flaws in it, but I loved it regardless. So when I saw uh, the Ultimate Edition, I was blown away at how much better it was. It was not only was it to me, it made Batman v Superman perfect. I don't think I could have asked for better. I was so happy. But see, again, I was a fan of the theatrical cut. So to me, the the Ultimate Edition, all it did was make it better. And I understood the issues that people had with the theatrical cut, saying that it was, all over the place and it kind of jumped over here, and
Those,
certain
see,
things didn't make sense. I understood that, but to me, I kind of disagreed with it because I felt that it was still decent. But when you have a studio going in and literally cutting up your movie,
yeah.
well, I mean, that's on the studio. That's not on the director. That's not on Zach. And even a lot of the haters that didn't like BVS at first, had to admit that the Ultimate Edition was the movie that they should have released in theaters.
Yeah, and see, but those are legitimate argument. Saying the theatrical version has some plot holes. I get that, and see, to me, that's fair. That was a fair assessment. That was a fair and opinion that I could not say that it's totally wrong. I get it. So those are the discussions that I think that are legitimate, that I don't mind listening to the other side, because it didn't make sense. And I'm like you, I still like the theatrical version. I gave it a B plus. I gave it a B plus, but when I saw the Ultimate Edition, it went from a B plus to A plus, because it filled in those little gaps that I know, being a Superman fan, that was not in the theatrical version. I saw that. Like, for example, how did Superman knows Batman was Bruce Wayne? Well, the theatrical version showed a little bit that Clark Kent was investigating Batman. And somebody even told me that, remember, he could see through mask. So he probably knew it was Bruce Wayne on the first encounter with the car. He saw us, and then he remembered him. Um, so that's how he know he was Bruce Wayne. But um, let's get into a very very interesting topic, which is the Justice League. When did you feel something wasn't right with Justice League? I know we all got that sense. It was prior to his release, but when did red flags went up for you?
Uh, yeah, throughout the whole movie, I was feeling uneasy throughout the entire thing. It just the whole movie felt off to me from beginning to end. I wasn't one of those people who felt, who was even tricked into thinking that it was a good movie. When I walked out of the theater after seeing it, all I could manage to say was Justice League was just fine. That movie sucked. Like, there was no question in my mind that that was not Zack Snyder's movie. That they had butchered it horribly, and that it was just terrible. And I know millions of fans felt the exact same way I did. If you're a fan of Zack Snyder, you can watch 20 minutes of Justice League and know that it's not what it's supposed to be. So yeah, that was not one of those situations where I was really fooled, at all. I was just it was like severe disappointment for days and days after seeing it, and I only seen it once in the theaters. So
Here's my thought process. Uh, when I found out that Zach stepped down, I was like, this doesn't sound right. Something is up. When you feel something that you can't put your finger on it, you go with a gut feeling, like it's like something is wrong. But you really couldn't pinpoint to what it was. And the reason I felt that way is because I follow Zack Snyder, and as I told many people, Zack Snyder is not a quitter. So I didn't buy the story at the time that he stepped down because he's never quit on anything. Never, never quit on anything. You know, Zack Snyder probably, if and again, thinking as a father, it was terrible what he went through. Uh, any normal person would have said, "Hey, give me time to grieve. We still have enough time, to edit it." Um, so I from that point on, when it was reported that he stepped down, it didn't feel right because Zach never quit on anything. Never. He's not a quitter. He's a fighter. And like when I noticed something was off, the first minute of the score.
Oh
The,
yeah.
the score. I mean, the score. I'm like, okay, this is not Zack Snyder. This is not Zack's movie. It's not. Just listen to the score. It had like a Marvel theme, like a Marvel feel. And Marvel is great because they're Marvel. You can't copy Marvel. DC will be great if DC stays DC. Marvel can be DC, DC can be Marvel. And I think these people who made the decision to be like Marvel, the quote unquote people who have all these education, Yale, Harvard, whatever college that they went through, lack one thing: common sense. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know, Zod, if me and you are directing a movie, unless we have the same vision, if I want to tell one story and you want to tell another story, it's not going to mesh. I just don't understand how come these people did not see this. To me, for the life of me, I don't get it. And if you were so bent on moving on for Zack Snyder, which they have every right to do, move on, but let him finish what he started and put out his movie. Let him do that. But by you changing his movie, you made it worse. They made it worse. This is why we have the whole Zack Snyder release the Snyder cut is because they meddle with something. Now, hopefully, and Chernoff, who's the new CEO, and for some reason, Zod, I got a good vibe about her. There's something about her that says, give her time, she's gonna fix it. What do you think?
I think so. I feel the same way. I think she has a different demeanor. There's something very positive about her that's out there. And I don't think and I mean I don't think we're off on this at all. I think she's generally coming in there with the best of intentions of making things right. And she actually seems like the type that wants to make the fan bases happy. So I think we've got a better chance under her than we did, of course, with the way things have been. Obviously, because otherwise, if we had a better chance, we would have had it already. We've been at this for almost 3 years now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
And I could see her, because one thing that I like so far that I see from her is that she's not a talker. She actually do what she says she's gonna do. She talks less and let her actions speaks louder. If you notice from the old regime, they talked a lot but did little, and she's talking little but doing a lot. And I think if she comes out, because it's again, this is what I think is gonna happen. Now the studio is not going to admit that they made a mistake. I don't expect them to do that, and I don't care. All I just want is to sign a cut. Reality, because we know no matter what statement you put out, that you can change most people's minds. Okay, but I think it will be to her benefit, and I think this may happen. She's gonna say something along the line is, "This is my new vision. This is a company vision. We are a director-driven company, and I'm going to prove it. And as an olive branch, I'm going to release the Snyder Cut, not because uh, it's just because it's the right thing to do. And I think the vibe that she was set, that people like me would say, you know what, Anne, I like what you're doing. Now I'm gonna trust you a little bit because now you putting out something. And again, we could agree to disagree whether you people like Justice League or not. For me, it's not about about if people gonna like Justice League or not. It's more about the man's integrity. He gave 8 years of his life for that project, and he lost his daughter while he was filming that. Do the man right and do the fans right. If you want to move on to future projects, if you want to move on to the Batman, if you want to move on to Birds of Prey, if you want to move on, you move on by bringing closure. And I think if they will bring closure once they release the Snyder Cut, and I think I could probably get behind other projects because now we have new management. Do you feel the same way?
I agree. I agree 100%.
So let's go now. I know you've been a big advocate about the 214 cut, and tell me a little bit. Obviously, we want the 214 cut with because that's what Zach said that's his cut. How do you feel about the 170 cut? What? I know we spoke a little bit privately, but if Zach gets behind that, would you welcome it?
I would welcome anything that Zack Snyder is an approval of. From what I understand, the rumors surrounding that 170-minute cut were erroneous in a way because there's some discrepancy as to whether or not that was actually a statement on an actual runtime or if it was a joke, because there was somebody commented in Vero about about something about it being some other cut being 170 minutes, and they said Zach liked the post out of jest or something. It was some sort of joke when in comparing run times with Warner Brothers doing the 2 hour one time of Justice League. So I don't know. I don't know anything really in terms of where all those rumors about other cuts or other runtimes got started. But all I can say is that I would support any cut that Zack Snyder deems worthy. So if Zack Snyder were to come out and tell us that a 170-minute cut is something he endorses, then yeah, I would be behind it. But as far as I know, and as far as I have been led to believe, the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League is 214 minutes. So that's the cut that I'm most excited about.
Right. Now, this is me thinking logically based upon the information that I got privately from my source and looking at other people's information. This is what I believe happened. The 214 cut is that's cut, just like Batman versus Superman Ultimate Cut. I believe he gave Warner Brothers a 214 cut. They told him it's too long to cut it down. Okay, Zach cut it down to 170. He gave that to them. This is what they have: the 170 cut that Zach wanted to be released in theaters. They saw that, they fired him. Zach got angry. They're bringing Josh Whedon to come, quote unquote, do the touch ups, which that was all a lie. Because you could have an executive producer or producer uh, who worked with Zach could finish up Zach's vision. So I knew something was up once they got Josh Whedon. However, Deborah Snyder stood on the project, and this is me again thinking as a married man. Uh, I think Zach already knew they were butchering his movie when he liked that post in October. I believe his wife told him they butchered your movie, and Zach got upset because Zach got fed up with Warner Brothers, always compromising with them, and it was not a joke. Because if you notice, Warner Brothers, like Chris Wong said it, if there's no truth to something, they're not going to waste their time on rumors. Companies don't do that. But for them to comment on something gave gave credibility to what Zach was saying. So I believe when Zach liked that post in 170, he was trying to tell us that the movie that we were going to see in November was not his cut. He already knew that they cut his movie. Because from October 17th, that's what the post you're talking about. October 17th, Justice League was released November 17th. You cannot edit, you cannot do all those changes in 1 month. So I believe when he liked that post, he knew that they already butchered his movie, and he was
Oh
gonna.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's why I'm saying I think it might have been done in jest as a joke because maybe he didn't know the exact runtime they were going for a theatrical his theatrical version, but like you said, he knew that they butchered his movie. So that's what that could be. But who knows? Like I said, I'll endorse anything as long as Zack Snyder is in support of it.
Right, and what I tell people, I tell people, listen, we if we get the 170 cut, we're getting a 214 cut because Zach doesn't lie to his fans. Zach told us 214, and trust me, we're gonna get the 214. We're going to get the 214. Zach is not even if the 170 is Zach's cut, even if that's the cut he wanted to release the movie. If Warner Brothers tell him Zach is either 170 or nothing, Zach's gonna say, okay, it's nothing. Zach's gonna say, I get behind the 170 to back up my ultimate 214. So I don't
I,
think. Go ahead.
I kind of feel like and this is where I kind of feel like that 170, all these other totals are kind of being just thrown out there. I kind of got a feeling, and this is just me personally, I got a feeling that when they finally do release it, they're just going to release the 214-minute cut. I don't think they're going to release anything else because when you think about it, unless they're planning to do some sort of theatrical run or they're planning something else, they've really got no reason to compromise in terms of fandom by releasing another version of the movie. They already released a severely compromised version when they released Whedon's theatrical cut. So I don't really see them releasing two additional cuts of this movie. I kind of feel like if they're going to release the Snyder cut, they're going to release the 214-minute version, whatever, with whatever complete or incomplete, whatever side of the argument you're on, they're just gonna release that, and then it's gonna come what may, because at this point, it's about seeing the Snyder cut. And like you said, if they want to do right by Zach and they want to do the right, they want to make up for some things and they want to do something just because it's the right thing, I think at that point they'll just release the movie that Zach wants us to see. I don't see them releasing any additional cuts because I'm trying to think what other benefit there would be to releasing any additional version. There wouldn't be any
I'm a,
reason for it.
I,
It's
I'm gonna tell what my person told me,
okay.
which makes sense, But then again, sometimes when something makes sense, Warner Brothers doesn't have they don't
Right.
know
Warner
what to
Brothers
do.
doesn't necessarily make sense. I mean,
Right,
we're dealing with a company that's,
right.
yeah. So,
I get that, but I'm gonna give Ann the benefit of the doubt here. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. This is what
right.
I was told. If Warner Brothers wants to maximize their money, they want to maximize their money. You could release the 170 cut on HBO Max. Get the subscription there. Back it up. You make money there, and then you release the 214 on DVD. So now you have two cash cow here. You have the theatrical version, Zach's version, that was intended to be released in theaters. They could promote that. Here is Zach's version that he intended to release in theaters, only available on HBO Max. They make money off that. Then there says, here is Zach's 214 cut that he spoke about. To me, that would be the smart business sense to maximize your dollars. If that's how they want to maximize their dollars, it could be done. But then again, when something makes common sense, but I'm going to reserve my judgment there because I want to give Ann the benefit of the doubt. Now, if we get the 214 cut, I'll be happy. Don't get me wrong. I'll be happy. But I was told the business for Warner Brothers for them to maximize their profit, make the most money, is release the 170 cut that Tack intended to release in theaters on HBO Max, promote HBO Max, get a lot of people to subscribe there, and then release the 214 in DVD. Because Zod, if Zach backs up the 170, I'm pretty sure, because I'm going to subscribe to the HBO Max if he's there, and I'm going to buy the DVD.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm with you 100%. I mean, I think that they'd be foolish not to announce the Snyder Cut prior to HBO Max to boost initial subscriptions. I think they should do that just as a marketing gimmick alone. I think it would be brilliant. From a business perspective, I mean, you can't buy the kind of free publicity they've been getting for the Snyder Cut for the past 3 years.
Thank you, Warner Brother. You just said thank you to us because we're the one that promoted for you. Now here's something interesting. Integrity 101 says at Louis Centeno, trimming Zach's film is what led to the avalanche of the bad reviews to begin with. I agree, but here's the thing: if you watch Zach's event in March, he already told you he compromised. So hear me out. Hear me out. Zach told us his intention for the Justice League was what? Darkseid to kill Lois Lane, to kill Wonder Woman. That's what he wanted to do. That was his original intent. But when they got the backlash of Batman versus Superman, he compromised. That's it. That's it. So it was not Zach already compromised. So Zach, this is where Ben Affleck was frustrated, because Ben Affleck wanted Zach to stay strong, saying, "No, I'm not budging. I'm not budging." And not that Ben was upset with Zach, but he wanted Zach, to fight for his to fight for his vision. But once that happened, Zach already compromised. He already compromised. So, and that's why he made the 214 cut, because that's what he want out there. And honestly, folks, the studio was never going to release a 214 cut. I'm sorry. The last, and I looked it up. The last 3.5 hour movie that was released in theaters was 1998, Titanic. There is no other movie that is 3 hours and 30 minutes since then that was released in theaters. So the 214 was never going to be released in theaters. The 214 minute was meant to be as the same thing as Batman versus Superman Ultimate Edition. So, but fine, we could agree to disagree there. I get that, Integrity 101. At the end of the day, I don't care. I mean, to me, Zod, I think you would agree with this. A 30-minute Justice League Zack Snyder cut is better than a 2-hour Justice Whedon movie. That's for sure.
That's exactly right. That's 100% true. Yeah.
Right. So what we're gonna wrap it up soon. Guys, if you have more questions, go ahead. You could comment on that. In the perfect world, because I'm one of the few that still believe that if Zack Snyder, if Warner Brothers bring back Zack Snyder, he could make Justice League 2 with Darkseid and pretty much finish out what he intended. Do you agree with that?
Say that again.
Okay. I still think Snyderverse could be saved. This is after the Snyder Cut is released, and I'm going to explain to you because Zack said that his intended. If you look at the T-shirt, Batman was going to sacrifice himself.
Yeah.
Right. And I still think that story could be told if they release the Snyder Cut, because the one he sacrificed himself because of Darkseid. Now Darkseid was in Justice League, but not the way Steppenwolf was. So I still think the movie could be made if they bring her back. Now, do I see it happening? I don't think so, but I still think that if they could reconsider that, they could have two universes. They could have a Snyder universe, and then they want to have the Matt Reeves Batman and go in a different direction. I still think that could work. Do you agree or disagree?
You know what? At this point, I haven't even really thought about it to that extent. I kind of feel like when we get the Snyder Cut, unless Zach has something, gets a compelling offer, from WB after that, I don't think that he's necessarily going to come back for anything else. I don't really think that they'll continue with the Snyderverse. I kind of feel like if we get the Snyder cut, that's going to be closure in a sense that WB is moving on and is going to do what they're going to do from that point on. And as far as I'm concerned, like you were saying earlier, I mean, they're okay to do that and they have every right to do that and move on if that's what they want to do. But I feel like for me, it all ends once we get the Snyder cut, unless we hear something from Zach saying that he's going to come back, he's going to finish his arc and all that. That would be the best case scenario, but I don't think realistically that we're going to get that.
It's a wish list, but I want people, remember in March, I tweeted it out that there's a possibility that Zack Snyder could come back. And I remember all the negativity I got, you making that up. Here's Lewis, trolling us again. No one is saying that. No one is saying that. And then out of the blue, what did Mr. Mark Hughes said? That it's possible who could come back? Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
So I did not make that. I heard that back in March. So if I heard it in March, I'm sure other people heard of it. Now, I didn't say that he was going to come back. I said he could come back. Could come back. And I still feel that way. If remember, we have a new CEO. If she sits down with Zach and talk with Zach, hey Zach, this is different. Maybe not to direct a DCU movie. Maybe he could direct something else. It's fine. But she definitely wants to keep her option open. Same thing in December. Ben Affleck would have considered coming back as Batman if Warner Brothers would have let him let them finish Zach Vision. We know that that Ben stepped down, but what did Ben say in March? That he will be open to coming back. Some of the things that I heard in December. So and I know you hear things too. Unfortunately, I'm rarely scooped anymore, rarely, because it's just the last week. Believe it or not, 2 weeks ago, I had death threats made against me that they would have literally come and kill me. Seriously, I reported to Twitter. Twitter took that tweet down, and they were reported to law enforcement. So I'm saying I don't need this. I'm a family man. I mean, it's just I'm doing this for fun. Gee, relax, people. But I went on this show and I was confident, and I still am confident, Zodwriter. We're gonna get the Snyder cut, and I was very confident then. And if you look at what's going on now, Mark Hughes speaking now, he knows something, Zod. Mark Hughes knows something. He's an insider. So it's not if but when. So what do you see going forward for the DCU? Now I know you don't like Shazam. What would you like going forward besides releasing the Snyder Cut? What would you like to see going forward?
As of right now, I'm kind of indifferent to the current direction they're going in. I really don't have a lot of enthusiasm for any of their upcoming projects. I may go see Joker in the theaters. I'm not sold on Birds of Prey, and I'm not sold on the idea of the Suicide Squad or any of the other stuff that they currently have that they're looking at. And I'm definitely not sold on this upcoming Matt Reeves Batman thing. I mean, I would have to say that I'm like the least bit interested in that than I am any other projects. I mean, they might as well have gotten George Clooney to come back and play Batman again. That's how disinterested I am in it right now. I really don't care at this point. It's just kind of like I want to be enthusiastic for future projects, but Warner Brothers has to show some goodwill and do something for us, the fan base, before we, and not just the fan base. They have to do right by Zack Snyder. They have to do right by their directors. I mean, while they're at it, they need to release David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad too.
Oh yeah, the original Stephen, the concept artist on that is just anyway. To close, I want you to look at something when you have time. Look at the Joker trailer movie. Do you remember the opening scene of Batman versus Superman? Remember the theater that they were walking out.
Yes, yes,
Right. Do you remember the name of the movie?
yeah.
Okay. Do you
I,
realize that same theater, that same movie is in Joker?
yeah, yeah. I do. And I'm kind of, so that was one of the things I was wondering about. Maybe are there connections? But if there were connections, wouldn't if there were connections to the Snyderverse, would not um wouldn't the same person who's playing Thomas Wayne, Jeffrey Dean Morgan in Batman v Superman, be playing Thomas Wayne in Joker if there were connections? I mean, I'm just
Yes, yes
putting
and
that
no.
out there.
Yeah, yes and no. It could be a recast. Remember the Marvel did recast the Hulk, Ed Norton. It could. I think this is what I think. I think it was put there so they can leave the option open. That's what I think. I think they put that there so they can leave the option open, which is a smart play by Warner Brothers. Throw that little bone there so you could, if you wanted to go back to that direction, you could connect it there. But and I'm not saying that it's connected or anything like that, but I just find that interesting that the same movie Batman vs Superman open was in the same scene as the Joker. I just found that interesting, and they gotta know that the fans were gonna notice that. So
Oh
I
yeah. And so it obviously was deliberate on the part of the director. So
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I think they did that just in case if they want to, I think I deep down I really think Warner Brothers want Ben Affleck to come back, reprise his role. If they're gonna do it, maybe for Justice League 2 and finish that because I think he is the best Batman. He play. I wasn't sold at Ben Affleck in the beginning. I was like many others, and boy was I proven wrong. He is by far, it's not even close, the best, most accurate Batman I ever seen. It's not even up for debate.
oh, I agree completely. Yes.
It's not even. Christian Bell is a distant second, and I like Christian Bell, and I like his Batman. But if you notice, Christian Bell, the Dark Knight, the one that made the Dark Knight was not him. It was Heath Ledger, the Joker. He's the one that made that movie, and you could say the same in the Dark Knight Rises. So, but to me, Ben Affleck is by far the best Batman. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up soon. Let's go over the comments here. It says Superman returns. Fan complains he didn't punch anything. Yeah, I mean, look at, and I know Chris Warren likes Superman Returns. I think it was goofy. Look what happened. They tried to copy something from the '70s, and it didn't turn out good. It didn't turn out good, and Zach saw that. Zach saw that. Man of Steel fan complains it is too different from Chris Reeve. Well, hello. Of course it is. Yeah. Uh, so this proves we need two different universes. No, not necessarily. We don't need two universe. We just need to learn that times move on. We're not in the '70s anymore. You can't tell us stories to 2019 like you was or you would in the '70s. It doesn't work that way. I mean, in the '70s movies, you don't see violence the way I mean. For example, the Rambo that's coming out, the last blood. You cannot tell that story in the '70s. Time has changed. People need to get over it. That's what Zack Snyder says. We're living in a different world now. I obviously use colorful language. I'm not, but time has changed. I don't get it. I don't understand why do not people cannot understand that. I just don't get it. Um, Aiming down the middle isn't working, or miss my point, Lewis. I apologize. Are you looking at the comments, Zodwriter?
Let me see here. Hold on a moment. The comments section. What was the comment?
Integrity 101, because I'm missing it. Said Man of Steel fan complaint. It is too different from Chris Reeves. This proves we need two universe, and I disagree. We don't need two universe. I mean, we just need to understand that you can't tell a story in 2016 the way you was in 1970. Times has changed.
Yeah, yeah.
Guys, throw me a bone, please. I am throwing me a bone. I'm reading your comment. You're good, bro. Integrity. You're definitely good. Any closing statement, Zodwriter?
Oh no, just thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciated it. It's great.
Not a problem. Any news? Obvious. I already told Chris when the Zack Snyder Justice League cut is officially announced. We definitely have to have a toast.
Absolutely, we definitely have to do a big show when that happens.
Yeah, yes, we definitely do. So, Zach, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate it. Be blessed, stay strong, and tell everyone when is your next podcast.
My next episode will be this coming Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I will be having Mr. Eric Blake on my show, so he will have his chance to tell his side of this
I see what's going on. That part,
comic gate, this comic gate thing that's been going on, the controversy within the Snyder Cut movement.
yeah, I don't know what to think of it. All I could say, I know Will Rollins was definitely promoting it. I know Eric Blake also promoted it as well. I just don't know who's the one.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Everybody's got a story, and that's why I'm saying I'm giving Mr. Blake his opportunity to come on and tell his side of the story, because after that, I'm actually going to be having that with Mr. Wes Ashley will be on the following week,
Oh, that's
and
gonna be interesting.
I'm also going to be interviewing Will Rollins as well, and then after that, we're gonna see about getting the Nerd Queens on to talk about it as well. So I'm gonna get all sides of the story. This is kind of a Snyder cut, all sides of the story thing. But yeah, so Blake is gonna have his opportunity this coming Tuesday. So we'll see what he has to say.
And if anyone knows Zack Snyder, uh, Zodwriter would love to have him on his show. That would be a great Christmas gift for
That
Zodwriter.
would be a wonderful interview. I think for everybody that would be wonderful. I
Oh
mean,
yes.
he's going to be that would be wonderful, but I don't know. I doubt very much Zack Snyder would do any podcast until his cut of Justice League comes
Oh
out.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But that I know that would definitely make your day, Zod.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
That
that
would
would
make
be
your day.
wonderful.
But hey, be safe. And I appreciate you. Okay.
Okay, well, you take care. Thank you again for having me.
Not a problem. All right. Okay, guys, that was Zod Ryder who was kind enough to join us. So we're gonna wrap it up in a few. I'm going back to the comments section because Integrity 101 asked me, to go back and I'm going back here. It said 3 hour Batman versus Superman is $1 billion film. None of this happened if Warner Brothers didn't cut the 30 minutes. I agree. I agree, Integrity. I believe that they would have released the 30-minute Ultimate Edition in the theaters. I believe it probably would have made $1 billion. I said probably. I can't guarantee it because it's just for some reason there are a lot of bloggers and the Rotten Tomato. They did screw they did screw Batman versus Superman. They really did. By giving it a 27 score. And negativity always brings people down. So I believe they would have got a better score. I believe more people would have saw it, but To me, it still made $1 billion if you count the DVDs, that was sold and so forth. But I get what you're saying. The Ultimate Edition was definitely a better movie. And it says this confirms Zack Snyder had one DCU film get a popular theatrical release. That one film was good enough to greenlight a sequel. Yeah, I agree with that. Warner Brothers hacked up a BVS, and that's 100% accurate. They really did. So they came. Zach didn't release his film. This means the cut. Your cut. You say that the universe failed. The leadership never released the real sequel. Yeah, the leadership did fail. I've been saying that from day one. The moment that they say that, which basically they lied to us. Kevin T, Jeff Johns, Tommy Emmerich, they lied to us when they said that Zach stepped down. When in fact he didn't step down. He was removed from the project because like I said, find me a time where Zack Snyder quit. Zack Snyder never quit. He doesn't. He's not a quitter. He's a fighter, and he doesn't leave things incomplete. Zach is a perfectionist. He doesn't want no one to mess with his stuff. I know I wouldn't. If you put 9 years in 8 9 years your life into a project, you don't want nobody to mess with it. So I agree with that. Josh Lee Batman looked like he should have been wearing a pink skirt. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. um, they made Batman look funny. He's not Batman's never made to tell jokes. Batman's a dark character. Now, if you want to tell me Bruce Wayne's a little goofy, okay, maybe I buy that, but not Batman. Batman is never goofy. Batman doesn't say, "Oh, something is definitely bleeding." All right, that's not Batman. No, I agree with that. And pathetic marketing, I agree with that. I think it is a massive mistake to move on. This will not fix anything. It is Superman's return, Batman, Robin, all over again. Yeah, that's the feel that I got from Justice League. They made Batman look weak, and they made Superman look weak with the mustache. So we need a dark Superman trilogy. I just think, see, integrity. I think we just need a good Superman movie, whether it be a lighthearted movie or a dark movie. We just want a good movie. At least that's for me. Being a Superman fan, that is my favorite superhero. I don't care if it's dark. I don't care if it's light. I just want a good Superman movie, like the original Superman from the '70s. That was a lighthearted. I like that. I enjoy that. Same thing with Man of Steel. It was a darker tone. I loved it. Superman Returns didn't work for me, just because I felt like they was trying to copy of Christopher Reeves, and it just didn't work. You can't copy on it. You have to tell your own story, and nothing good never happens when you try to imitate another person. Nothing good never happen. You know, um, I can't. You can't be me. I can't be you. So. Let's see, Batman Ultimate Edition is an 8.6 out of 10. I give it out of 10 out of 10. That's just me. But your numbers, it's subjective. Definitely allowed to have that. Um, remove hey, to me, Rotten Tomatoes just they have done more harm to the business than more benefit, because a lot of those people who rate those movies don't understand the character. Point example, Godzilla. Look it up. We have a girl who says Godzilla 2014 didn't show too much Godzilla. She wants all Godzilla movie, and then King of the Monster comes out, and then she says, "Oh, too much Godzilla, too much monsters." This is why this is just it's just doing more harm. So respectfully, the right thing to do is to release the 214. Listen, I want the 214. And again, I don't think you guys are understanding what I'm saying here. Okay, you have to look at it from Warner Brothers standpoint. You have to look at it. They're running a business. Okay, they have a cut, which is what I heard. And I'm just not me. I'm not saying it. Other people are saying it. They have a cut that is Zach's cut that he gave to Warner Brothers before he was fired. He gave them that cut. He says, "Okay, This is my one cut, my 170 cut. I'm going to release it in theaters. That's the cut. The 214 was going to be worked on to be released with the 170 cut on the DVD, just like Batman versus Superman. But when Tommy Emmerich and Kevin T saw the 170 cut, they got rid of Zach. So, but I believe it could work. I believe if you release the 170 cut on HBO Max, because a lot of people like myself, if I know that's Zach's cut that he intended to release in theaters, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it on HBO Max. I'm gonna watch it. But guys, I promise you, we're gonna get the 214 cut. If you see the 170 cut release first, do not get out of shape. It just means we're getting the 214 minute cut. There is no way, like I told Zach Ryder, there is no way that Zach is going to approve the 170 without the 214. If Warner Brothers told Zach, hey Zach, we only could release the 170 cut, Zach's gonna say no. He's gonna say no. Because he told everyone his true cut, the ultimate cut is 214. He's going to say no. So but if the 170 minute cut is released, it's because we're going to get a 214 cut. Mark my word, guys. If we get the 170 cut, we're going to get a 214 cut because it makes smart business sense. Now, if Warner Brothers decides to release a 214 cut, okay, we'll get it. But I don't want you to get discouraged if Warner Brothers release the 170 cut on HBO Max and say we're not going to get the 214 minute cut. No, we're going to get the 214 minute cut. The 170 cut is the sign that we're going to get the 214 cut. Because again, Zach told us his cut is 214. He told everyone that's his cut. And I believe that if Aaron Sharonoff goes to Zach and say, hey Zach, I want to release the 170 cut on HBO Max. Can you please promote it? And I will also release the 214 cut. I think Zach is going to do it. There's no reason not to do it if they tell him they'll release the 214 cut. It's just a way of Warner Brothers promoting a new streaming service, which will be smart of them. Okay. Let me see. We need two universes. You're right. Okay, I misunderstood your question. When I say we need two universes, I thought you was referring to the Christopher Reeve Superman and Man of Steel. But yeah, if they have two universe, one with Snyder vision of the DCEU, and then you have the Joker and Matt Reeves Batman, maybe DC Dark. Yeah, it could work. But Jay Oliva did commenting on that. He said that it's going to be very hard for studio to pay two actors to portray Batman. I think it will be. I think it will be good. But I'm not in the industry the way Jay Oliva is. He kind of stated that it's gonna be it's hard for them to do that. So but who knows? We need two universes. We cannot make all Batman Superman fans happy, specifically about the killing issue. I agree. No, I feel like you're screaming. No, you're not. You're not screaming. Uh, oh, okay. You say you feel like you need a trilogy for Batman Superman fans that are okay with the killing and film trilogy that hates killing. I mean, we kind of do have it. I mean, the if you for the fans who hates them killing, that's why you have the animation part. The Batman and Superman. The DC. I think I forgot his first name. His last name is Snyder. But I think they do have that. But I just financially I don't see Warner Brothers doing that. Paying two actors because it's very expensive. If you pay two actors to portray Superman, or even one, if you portray one to do, to portray what you're saying, takes money. So an ideal perfect world, I get what you're saying, it would be nice, but I don't see the studio doing that. No, Lewis, just a good film isn't good enough. We have Man of Steel. No, we have Man of Steel is getting destroyed because they didn't follow through. You need a Superman film for Snyder lovers and Snyder haters. Here's the thing, though. Integrity 101. No matter what you do in life, you're never gonna. Nobody. No. You're always gonna have a group of people who's never gonna be happy. So this is why, as a business, Warner Brothers is gonna do what's best for you. I get what you're saying. Trust me, I get what you're saying. But if you have a Superman that doesn't kill, you're still gonna have people who's still not gonna like that. We have a Superman that kills, you're still gonna have people who, it's just, you can't please everybody. You can't walk in life pleasing everybody. It's just not gonna happen. Some people like my show, some people don't like my show. I cannot worry about the people who doesn't like my show. I can't, because I'm not gonna make everybody happy. It doesn't matter. I just gotta be me. Either people gonna like my show or not like my show, and the same thing with the movie. So Batman Forever was a big success. A big success. They were happy to move on. Burton's Dark Vision, but we got Batman and Robin. Um, it's all happening again. Mrs. Sonos should investigate the events during. Damien, as this is me thinking logically, because you said you want her to investigate. Bottom line is they're gonna look at money, dollars. Okay, if I'm Ash Chernoff, I'm gonna look at Tommy Emmerich, and I'm gonna look at the movie he touched. If they're losing money, she's gonna think logically. Wait a minute, everything that he touched loses money. So you don't. The investigation part is all you gotta look at bottom line. Warner Brothers is the bottom line money. Comes down to money. And once they see that everything that Tommy Emmerich touched has lost money, money speaks. He's gonna eventually get replaced. So um, if we get a Snyder cut, it will be 100% from fan pursuit. This shows the power of people. Yeah, it does. If we do not demand Zach's return, we are making a mistake. I see what you're saying. I think we should just focus one thing at a time. And here's a clue. I think once the Zack Snyder um, cut is released, I think if we show the same passion for asking Henry Cavill to return and make another Superman movie, you might see that quickly. Um, are you also going to send a letter to Anstronoff? Um, I'm thinking about it. The only reason is just it puts my source. I just don't know. Um, to be honest, I don't know. I want to, and I probably will, but I'm thinking about it. At Louis Centeno, that's my point. You cannot make everyone happy with bad soup, so make half of the fans. But I know what you're saying. But I don't think that's. I know what you're saying. Trust me, I do. But I just think what you're saying is unrealistic. Warner Brothers, no studio's gonna do that. They're not. They're not. I know what you're saying. Trust me. I want that too, but it's just it's real unrealistic. So. Um, all right, guys, it's coming up on 2 hours. Can't believe 2 hours. That's nonsense. And I'm thirsty. Let me grab a cup of water right here quickly as I wrap up. Um, but I want to thank everybody for joining me. I really appreciate it. I ask that you subscribe down below. Subscribe down below. I'm gonna be doing my show for sure once a month, twice a month, maybe. For sure once a month. Next week I'm gonna have Dingus Bringus with us. Um, I know he's a big Marvel fan, so we're gonna be discussing his ideas for a Spider-Man. Those who follow Dingus Bringers knows that how much he loves Spider-Man. He's a kid. He did a lot of videos on me. I was very appreciative of him doing that, and I kind of like the kid. So, guys, support him. We definitely, we have. Yes, I agree. He Ben if Ben if Ben does return, it's only going to be for one or two movie. One for definitely Justice League 2, and possibly a Batman Beyond, or the script that he made. I know a lot of people said that he's no longer Batman. He's not, but how many times did the guy who played James Bond say he was done and he came back? So in this industry, never say never. Money talks, new vision. I agree with that. So, guys, please, support me. I appreciate it. Any ideas, any feedback, as long as you do it respectfully, I'm definitely all ears. I really appreciate it. And I thank you, and I encourage you to make a difference in someone's life, be a positive change in someone's life. Um, don't think just even lifting up somebody's spirit goes a long way. As a suicide survivor, lifting up somebody's spirit definitely goes a long way. I encourage you to be a light into somebody. Okay. So again, guys, next week I'm gonna have Dingus Bringers, same time, 12 p.m. So please promote. And I really appreciate you guys. Um, thank you, everybody. I don't want Marvel Rush, just one power. I agree. I agree. Um, and Terry, thank you so much for the engagement. Not a problem. I know. I know. And I may do the more people I have on the chat. I may do what Chris does. I know Chris does a live Q&A. As soon as I get more subscription, and I get more people subscribe. I'm definitely gonna go that route, so to interact with you guys. No, integrity. I go to my tweet in March. I heard someone told me that it's a possibility that Zach could come back. The amount of hate that I got. You liar! You didn't say that. Uh, Nobody's saying it. Here's Lewis again. And then Mark Hughes said the same thing 4 months later. So never say never. I you know so I just want to be positive, stay positive. Okay. But in any event, guys, I really appreciate it. I see you guys next week. Thank you so much.